How's she going there, bud? This is X-Cox Cheeto coming with another cringy, delicious Hyperborean story. So, this story is about the first time I did the magical mushrooms. So, this story, on my first time, I redosed. And that's actually because the first time I technically did it, I didn't feel it. So, it all started from when I did a recent visit to one of my friends, and he gave me some shroom microdose capsules. Now, these capsules I've since tried many times, and I've never felt them, probably because they're meant for microdosing. But my friend says you simply take a few more and you feel them. Now, these microdose capsules, they're not pure magic mushrooms. They also contain two other ingredients. I know one of them is lion's mane mushroom, which is actually a mushroom I've taken. I might talk more about this in another video. I've actually grown this mushroom myself, though. But this isn't a magical mushroom. But regardless, there's also magic mushrooms in these capsules. And after I came back from my friends, I decided to take some one night. And so I went on my usual night walk, which, again, I haven't discussed yet in these videos, but you'll get a sense of what kind of a night walk this is. And I went down the highway, and I went to the local lake. And it was, it was pretty late out. It was probably a full moon even, just because that's probably when I decided to do it next. And I took them at the lake, and then I walked back expecting to maybe start feeling them later. I even waited at the lake a bit, knowing that unlike a usual smoke sesh, this would obviously take a while to hit. And, sure enough, it took a long time. I must have waited there about 15 or 20 minutes just listening to music. And nothing happened. Nothing happened on the walk, sadly. I was a little disappointed with that. And so, yeah, I had a feeling that, it would be good to walk on my first time, because otherwise, if I had a bad trip just sitting or whatever, then this would force me to go through the walk, and I might not be so scared of it afterwards. But regardless, by the time I got back, I fucking felt nothing, and so I ended up redosing on some other mushrooms that my, let's just say a local who I work for, who's also a hippie, she'd been growing some also for microdosing, and she gave me a bunch, and so, I took these. I didn't measure them. I don't have a scale. I only have a single mechanical shitty scale that is, it's not very good or accurate, and I didn't really want to, measure this out while, it might just spill off the scale or whatever, so I was like, fuck it, the scale's shitty, it's small, I don't trust it anyway, so I'm just gonna wolf her down, and I don't know grams too well, so I just thought, well, this is probably enough grams to not be too fucked, but, looking back, I'm pretty sure, just because I know what a handful looks like now, because I've taken it, enough times. This was probably about 4 grams. Honestly, my first time taking shrooms was probably one of my highest dose trips, if not the highest. It was near a heroic dose, and so I took them and I started gaming with 2 friends, one of which was the one who gave me the capsules, and I don't know, maybe 30 minutes to an hour went by, and we were playing Shell Shock, which is like this tank game that involves shooting different types of ammunition at different angles and shit. It's a 2D platform, and fucking, it kicked in, and the land started swirling in the game, basically, and they already have these patterns in the land, and it is kind of like a sort of neon, sort of futuristic look to it, and this just exemplified that even more. It almost looked like LSD a bit. Not that I've tried it at this moment, I have now, but it did kind of look like that just because of the colors in the game and shit, but it was swirling and kind of organic-ish looking. And shortly after that, they actually stopped playing earlier in the night, unfortunately. So I didn't get that chance to really play too much gaming like this, which is fine. I've played games on shrooms many times now. But this time I didn't get much of a chance, so they called it quits. And soon after, I stayed on the computer for another hour, and I remember I was trying to look at my next school schedule shit online. I was like, damn, when is my next class again? And I kept looking at the school site, which I barely managed to find. And when I was looking at the information, it just wasn't retaining itself in my mind. And I went in this minor thought loop of I wonder when my next class is. And then I was like, oh, well, I can't figure it out, so I guess I'll just do other shit and go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. And then I'd get curious because I don't want to waste my night. And so I do that, repeat it a few times. And it was kind of messed up. But eventually at one point I'm like, okay, screw it. Obviously I can't figure it out. But I also kind of had a sense that it wasn't an early day. So I was just going to go to bed normally. And this is when I realized how fucked up I was. So I went to turn off my computer and all that jazz. And of course, in typical Windows fashion, there was an update, so I had to wait for that and deal with that. but at least it's a simple process. And so I remember like getting up and I put in my chair into the desk and I got up to go to bed. And it was messed up. I was like, for one, I already knew right away, okay, I can't brush my teeth or whatever. I'm just gonna have to go straight to bed. And I kind of slumped over under my bed because I couldn't even manage to like climb in properly, let alone like make up the bed. And there was still like junk on my bed. Like there was like some clothing and like some other shit that I just placed there temporarily earlier in the day. And I couldn't even bother to like take them off. So like I looked fucked up. Like if anyone walked in the room, they would have seen me in this like weird position on the bed with all this crap on it, and it would not have been good. Basically, it would have looked weird. And I think I sort of sat there for a while, and then I went into this like thought loop. I decided to get up quickly, and I turned off the light, thinking, well, at the bare minimum, even if I can't make it to the door to close it, I can still like try to blend in with this. So yeah, because like I knew my parents would like probably get up at some point to go to the washroom, and sure enough, one of them did eventually. But yeah, I eventually did manage to like sort out my shit on the bed and actually go to bed properly. And it took me a while to fall asleep, but before that all happened, I was in this like thought loop in the dark where I thought my mind was now crazy and I would be fucked forever, but it didn't matter regardless because the time dilation was so strong, like way stronger than on even like weed trips. I was like, okay, so I'm here forever in my own point of view. Sure, it'll end eventually, but in my subjective perspective, this is forever. I am here forever. And therefore, it doesn't really matter what like those consequences are of my crazy mind and all the other shit, because I was going to be here for all intents and purposes forever. It was sort of a pseudo-ego death. I did not ego die, but I was like close to it. I could kind of get that sense. Because like I said, it was kind of like I knew I was dead. I wasn't dead, but I was like, my brain is like fried now and I can't think properly, but I'm here forever. So it's kind of fucked, but I have to accept that. And it's fine because, you know, what's the difference? I'm here forever. So it doesn't matter what the repercussions later are, even if it is like objectively going to end. Subjectively, I'm here forever and therefore will be forever in my reality. And eventually that ended. Now, like, I gotta say, shrooms for me aren't a very visual thing. Like, they are on higher doses, but, like, usually you're focusing on so much other mental shit, for me at least, that I don't really care about the swirls. Like LSD's different, but for shrooms, it's like, you get swirls a little bit when you're mentally tripping hard, and so it's like, who cares, really? It's more just an indicator that, damn, you're really fucked up. But anyway, oh, yeah, before I went to bed, I actually did manage to, like, go to the bathroom when I sobered up a tiny bit, and, like, sure enough, I looked in the mirror, because I didn't care if people said don't look in the mirror. I wanted to look at what my face looked like. And, you know, sure enough, like, there was a lot more swirls. And I could see it a lot better in, like, the light. And my face was swirling. It looked kind of weird. It looked like I had a lot more wrinkles in my face. And I wouldn't say I saw any new colors. Because, like, I've heard on hard trips, people have seen, like, colors never seen before. Almost like they're one of those deep water snails that have more, like, color cones. I didn't see anything like that. But, like, colors were like in some sense almost more faint. They weren't more emphasized. They were actually fainter but sharper because it almost had the sense that I got up too quick. So everything had a certain like, not a haze, but a certain sharpness that kind of got rid of the importance of colors. And you know, anyways, after all that, I went to bed, brushed my teeth, blah, blah, blah. And that was that. But yeah, for a short time, I was in that state that I call the abyss, which is when the time dilation and the thought loops combine to create a hellish realm of no sense and nothingness. So yeah, that was my first mushroom trip, and I'll be telling y'all about more trips in the future. Have a delicious Hyperborean day.